Hey beauties, morning to you. Hope everybody's good. Wishing you a fantastic weekend, and I pray that it will be productive and you will experience God's best, not good, not better, because good is the enemy of better and better is the enemy of the best. So I wish you a fantastic weekend. Now my beauties, one of the reasons, a main reason, I wouldn't say necessarily it's a paramount, but it may just fall under the paramount reason, because there are two elements that work hand in hand, and it's called selfishness, pride. Those two elements are why we're in the disaster we're in today in our world, in Jamaica in particular. And the reason why I said in Jamaica in particular, this is a country in which I live, so I'm going to speak about the country in which I reside. Human beings fail to comply with a commandment where it says, love thy neighbor as thyself. Now, some people may say they don't love themselves. So what the word is really expressing is that treat people the exact way you would want to be treated. So even if you don't love yourself, you still do not want somebody to treat you poorly. You still don't want somebody to treat you with disrespect. You still do not want anybody to treat you with disdain. God through Paul had said, esteem the other person above you. We are now preaching heresy. We are preaching where we must esteem ourselves above others. It's a way that the enemy has twisted our thinking into making us feel that we are being inferior and making somebody else superior. Lifting somebody above yourself doesn't mean you're making yourself inferior. What you're saying is the very thing that I'm doing to you, it means that I like that for myself, because I know when I do it to you, somebody will do it for me. So we're both on the same level. So nobody would actually supersede the other person. Nobody would be inferior to the next. So I lift you above me, you lift me above you. So you see what happening? Both of us are on the same level. There is a difference between selfishness, or an extreme case of selfishness is narcissism, which is backed by arrogance and pride. So the difference between selfishness, narcissism, arrogance, pride, I put them in one, but let's say selfishness, they all fall under, because they really do. Selfishness and self-care. Self-care is saying, I am not going to allow your vitriol, your rancor, your acrimonious thinking or mindset or actions to let me feel less than who God made me. So I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to believe in myself, so that as I believe in myself and build myself, I can help somebody or two or more along the way. That is self-care. Selfishness is, I couldn't care less what happens to you. You could die for all I care. I am not thinking about anybody else. I'm thinking about me. It's all about me. And I'm not going to do anything to help anybody. The problem with that is that, the scripture says, whatever seed, don't be deceived. God can never be mocked. Whatever a man or a woman sows, that he or she will also reap. Now, there can come that time, no matter how wealthy or poor you are, where something should happen to you. Let us say, God forbid, you should get physically ill. The very same thinking that you emitted towards others, the same thing is going to happen to you. So you might find that you get very ill in your home. Somehow you're home alone and you need somebody to come and rescue you. You're like a 5 minutes away or so from being dead or alive. And the very thinking where you say, I don't care about anybody, that same spirit comes and pushes itself on you. So it's a push and pull effect. The same energy you give out, the same energy, and sometimes worse. And you end up staying ill, sometimes unfortunately to the point of death, because you had sown that seed. So you can't find anybody to come even to take you to the hospital. So I said to somebody, no matter how much money you have, if you should get ill, the physical money can't lift you up out of where you are and literally carry you to the hospital. The physical money itself, you still would have to call Uber, some taxi service, somebody, a friend, or whomever it may be. Somebody, a human being, will have to be the driving force behind helping you. So you have to think carefully in saying that I don't care about anybody else. It's about me, myself, I, and just this space. It is totally different from self-care, When you do that, what you're technically saying subliminally, and in some cases overtly, I'm really better than you. I'm more important than you. Don't you see that I'm more educated? Don't you see that I have more money? Don't you see that I'm more beautiful? I shape well. Don't you see that I have friends? I know people who love me. And having people around you don't mean you don't know their hearts. People are excellent at pretending. Wealthy people, they're not even sure which among the pack actually genuinely likes them. You know how they will know? They just need to lose the wealth for a moment. If Job were here, he could tell you that. That is how he knew who his friends were. The three guys, I don't remember their name, one of them Elysia or whatever his name is. That when he lost his wealth for a moment, that is how he knew who they were. They were jealous of him. Go and read the entire 42 chapters of Job and listen to how they spoke. The vitriol, how they tore him down. They said because of how he's wicked, why all of this is happening to him. And God is punishing him, God has beat him. That's the only way. So rich people, they may seem like all is well. They don't know who is really truly for them. Because I guarantee you 8 out of the 10 is really there because of their fame and their fortune. So you have to understand that selfishness will pay off, not for you. You're going to end up losing out. It's totally different from self-care. It's a heresy that is being preached, that you ought to be selfish. I know what people are saying in some cases when they say that you wear yourself down for people. No, you don't need. You create a balance. It's about balanced living. It's balance. Like Christianity, I tell people it's balance. Like sometimes I see this pastor, I like him and I follow him and I see him he has to be proving that it's non-alcoholic wine. Was it in the book of Timothy? I read it. It says, do not drink to the point of drunkenness. So what he's saying is that you can drink alcoholic wine. I was listening to a man on a religious station was saying that he was showing, I don't know if he's a medical doctor, that I don't know if he said 4 glasses of red wine per day or week. I don't want to misquote him, but it is good for the blood. He was showing some kind of a cardiovascular thingy. You know, I'm not a medical doctor, and I've always heard that a glass of red wine is good for the blood. It's good for the body. So, you know, I said to myself, he had all right to drink, but I understand. Sometimes you don't want your good to be evil spoken of, but you can re-educate people, you know. Just if he had the bottle of red wine, he could just maybe pour a little and say, I'm not getting drunk in here. I'm very much, you know, I'm coherent. I'm awake, you know. And I just chuckled at it because you can drink wine, you know, you just don't get drunk and you don't overdo it in anything, whether even water, you don't overdrink water, you know. And so on. So listen to me. Self-care is different from selfishness. You're not tearing yourself down when you lift others above you. You're not doing that. You're not being inferior while they're being superior. You're not giving that. If you find that you're giving too much of yourself, then you're not really caring for yourself. You're damaging yourself. So you have to balance self-care with how you treat others and how you value other people. Selfishness is other people do not matter in the least or at the greatest. That is what selfishness is. It's about me. But the time will come, if you sow that seed where it is just about you, you will be the one that will be left alone when you really need people. You really need people, and it usually comes at an inopportune time, a time when you cannot handle. Do you oftentimes see people who are like that? Sometimes they die in their home and it's days later when people smell, you know, that horrible smell, that they realize that somebody has died, and when you check it, it's somebody who was really a selfish person. Somebody told me of a woman, a wealthy woman, and she had a lot of tin foods, and somebody said, why don't you take some of it and just give to people who may not have it? It doesn't have to be do not have to be indigent people. It can be somebody who's just going through a difficult time. That's why the Bible says help the poor and the needy. And the woman refused. You know what God allowed? Every one of the tin things them for burst up on her. They burst. Oh, they burst up on her. Goodness gracious me. So it still never served her purpose. Still didn't benefit her. So self-care is different from selfishness. Self-care is different from narcissism. Self-care is different from arrogance and pride. Pride only just about me and I'm superior in the thinking, not in reality. Because the reality is that you and I, we're gonna die one day. We're not going to live forever, and we won't be young forever. Guys, follow me on TikTok, subscribe to my YouTube channel, share this message.